Hello and welcome to our continued journey on soul ascension. So, for a recap, for those who haven't been to part one, part two, this is part three. Our soul evolution is that awakening to become the best version of yourself. In level one, we recognize that we need to make changes. We have to make changes. In level two, we are implementing those changes on a daily basis. It becomes a daily practice, meditation, mindfulness. Our responses to events and challenges within our lives become more responsive rather than reflective or regressing or reactive. And we're responding in a way where we're finding solutions rather than apportioning blame. We're not going into victimhood. We're going, okay, so this has happened for a reason. Why has it happened? How can I move through this? What is the learning lesson? That's all phase two. It's all of those questions that we ask when something happens, and it can be anything, really, anything. Because the ascension process is a day-by-day thing. It's not just a sit down for an hour and you're doing ascension. Ascension is from the moment that we wake up, the moment we go to bed, because we are constantly fed information that forces us to make decisions that we then see the outcome. And it could be a good, bad, or indifferent outcome. So, it is a really awesome process. I love Ascension. I love teaching Ascension, both to my students, both online, in physical classes. It was like a miracle to me to actually understand that I could reprogram myself and become a better version of who I am. And then it doesn't stop and it continues. So phase three, the third step in soul ascension, is the realization and embodiment of unity consciousness. And that's that oneness. We'll hear the word oneness in New Age thinking, oneness with this and oneness with that. And people go, well, what does that actually mean? I don't understand what that means. At this stage, the individual, you move beyond personal growth and you embrace a sense of oneness with all beings in the universe. And that's where you're in a complete state of allowing. You allow anyone and everyone to have their own belief systems, to have their own way of living. It's not for us to give an opinion or to tell them that they're wrong, or for us to impose our opinions on how they should be living, because that isn't oneness. That's you being aggressive, directive, and controlling. It's marked by a deeper compassion for others and a willingness to serve the greater good, seeing every experience as an opportunity to expand awareness and foster harmony. And when we serve the greater good, I've said that just a few seconds ago, it's not about our opinion on what other people should be doing, but we just embrace what everyone is doing. We're embracing culture. We're embracing different experiences that can be had through integrating with different cultures. We are in a space of allowing, seeking, constantly seeking an expansion of our own intelligence. So why do they believe in that? Why do they do that? What does that culture that manifest for itself? How does that support that particular ethnic group of people? And allowing people space to just be themselves. I think as a parent, it's really difficult in this phase three to stand back and allow our children to be themselves. We want to shape them. We've shaped them from young. We've imposed expectations possibly, or we have expectations of them. And when they don't meet those expectations, then we get sort of embroiled in our own disappointments. We then reflect that onto them, that they're a disappointment. and then they feel disappointment, and then they then go on a spiral, and so it spirals and spirals. But in phase 3 of Ascension, it's about taking that step back in terms of parenting and allowing our children to develop their individuality, to make choices, good, bad, or different, whether you agree with them or not. It isn't you making that decision, it's them that's making that decision. And they then have to live with that decision, the outcome, and deal with that, be it good, bad, or indifferent. I think that at this particular level, it can be the most challenging level because we want to protect people. We want to tell people that they're really bad. We want to look at those aspects of life where cruelty resides and that dark, dense energy that can really steal aspects of ourselves. So when we hear about murders or conflict, battle, brutality, when we hear about those events in life, it steals an aspect of you because you focus on it. You get drawn into it. But we need to take a step back because that isn't your journey, that's their journey, that's that person's journey. And believe me, I've had many family members die at a young age. I've had 2 amazing people who passed away through taking their lives. I've had to watch volunteers within the cancer charity that I worked in, watch them lose their children to cancer. I've certainly had a couple of friends who were murdered. So it's a huge array, an array of experiences of that darker, denser energy. But that's their journey. It isn't my journey. I'm there as a spectator and I'm there giving selfless service. I'm here if you need me. How can I help you? What words of kindness and solace can I offer to help you through this trauma or this grief or whatever it is? So I always look at, well, what's my journey in that? But it is their journey, isn't my journey, but I'm part of their journey. But I can't get bogged down in their journey because that isn't my soul's experience. I'm on the outskirts of these really difficult, traumatic events. So that expanded opportunity of awareness and to foster a sense of harmony, not to get attached because we, in phase 2, we lose attachment. That's, again, a very Buddhist thing. We've got to give up attachment to things. We have to give up attachment to drama and things external to you because you can't change it, but you can change your responses to it. Through the practice of just being at one with yourself, accepting what is going on around you, changing what you can, witnessing and reflecting on things that you can't change. This practice transcends separation and it aligns you with that higher purpose. It begins to come, that higher purpose, and that completing a transformative cycle of Ascension. It starts to make sense. And when I reflect on some of those harder things, especially those wonderful young women who took their own lives, what was their journey beforehand? That's where I go. Well, what was their journey beforehand? How were they feeling? And then it's about holding their essence, their energy in a place of healing and harmony. I think that in Ascension phase 3, moving to oneness is really difficult. It's very difficult when we are human and we do get enraged and we can feel anger and we do hate and we do feel guilty and we do feel resentful. We have all our dark emotions, which are what makes us human. The oneness part comes is in recognizing those particular emotions, dealing with them internally yourself, because you're feeling them, so they're your emotions. They're not with the person who invoked the emotion, that they don't belong to them, they belong to you. And so you need to acknowledge how you're feeling, and you then need to deal with it and find a way to respond to it and not react. So we're back to that responsive reactive process. Oneness is a never-ending story. I'm not going to say that you won't find ultimate happiness or ultimate peace. You will always, always strive to become that better person. So when you're dealing with the guilt, the anger, the resentment, the jealousy, all of those dark energies in relation to dark events, then just hold on to that process of those emotions belong to me and not that person. And that person's dealing with their own processes in the whole bigger picture of whatever the challenge has been. So that takes us on to becoming that next person. And it takes us on to becoming a place of oneness where we're accepting why things happen. We deal with it in a really wonderfully calm and intelligent and acknowledging way. And we don't blame the world, and we stop becoming a victim. I think through my ramblings, I think I've kind of figured out oneness for myself. I would hope that through my ramblings, you possibly might interpret it differently. I hope that if you do, then please, please let me know what your interpretation of oneness is in terms of soul ascension. I'm always open to learning new ways of thinking. But it is a fascinating topic. Becoming the best version of yourself is my primary driver as a person, as an individual, both seeing myself as a role, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, as a daughter, a sister. Those are just job titles, but they don't define me. They're just part of who I am in the bigger picture. But I am an individual, and I definitely want to be the best person at any given time that I possibly can be, regardless of the challenges the universe gives us. One thing to think about just as we finish up, wrap up, as they say, phase 3, this video, this podcast. One thing to just bear in mind is the universe constantly wants to do the same. It wants us to become a better version of who we are. So the universe will absolutely always throw something at you without a shadow of a doubt. And so when you say, oh, well, this never ended, why is this always happening to me? I always seem to be challenged, all of that sort of victim statements. Don't go down there. My husband laughs at me because his phrase for me is challenge accepted. So when something comes in, I'll go, oh, so I wonder how I'm going to sort of deal with that. I wonder how I'm going to cope with that. I wonder how I should respond to that. I don't ask the why me question. It's just like, oh, and then I'm back to that phrase that I said in our second video, phase 2, which is, so what's this all about? I might even have said it in phase 1. What is this all about? Because there is always a meaning. There is a deeper, integral learning lesson to any and all events that happen in your life. You just have to ask the question, well, what's this all about? And then fathom it out from there. I hope you've enjoyed a little insight into sort of Ascension. It is like a huge topic. If we look at Buddhism, it's all about ascension, enlightenment, about living your best life, becoming the best person. It's a never-ending story, but it's your story, and it's an amazing story. And I hope that these 3 little clips have given you food for thought, and will start you on your path to becoming the best version of who you are. So until the next time, it's Namaste from me, Phyllis Brown. You can subscribe on Substack, on YouTube, Facebook. You'll find me, just Google. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Until the next time, bye for now.